I am speaking to you from the past. Not that far in the past. It's about a week before Christmas, and this is me trying to get ahead on videos before going on vacation, so I still have stuff to put out. I am not worried about filming this a little early because I am not going to finish the book that I am on before the end of December. I will probably pack it and take it on my trip with me to try to finish it. As you watch this, I will be in Arizona with my family, hopefully enjoying some sunshine. The weather forecast looks hopeful. Like November, this month has been a 3-book kind of month. I started with Promise of Blood by Brian McClellan. I've talked about this in a couple other videos, and after this I'm going to make my deep dive character video about the characters from this. The characters are one of the things I loved the most. The magic was cool. There's a couple of main magic types, sorcery and powder magery. So you can either touch the else and do cool stuff like lightning or whatever, or you can use and control gunpowder. Kind of a revolution going on. They've killed the king. They're trying to make their country and government work now. In some ways it felt like the plan was the coup and kill the king, and then there was less of a plan for after that, and it's that after that they're having to deal with. This was a book I got from my free little library. It's been sitting around here for months, and it was the first one from my backlog. In my reading plans for 2024 video, I talked a little bit about how I'm using these papers. On each one is a book that I acquired and have not read, and I'm going to try to get through these in 2024. And this was the first one from that group of books. So it's not even 2024 yet, and I'm already ahead. Feels good. And it was a good book and a fun read. The next book I read after this one was my book that I bought for myself to celebrate that 1,000 subscriber milestone on this channel, and that was Fanfiction by Brent Spiner. I am also going to film a review for this. It was kind of hilarious. It's a fan fiction by Brent Spiner about Brent Spiner during a short period of time while he's playing Data on Star Trek The Next Generation. I think it takes place during the 4th season. Lots of pop culture references from the 90s. Get a little peek into what actor life was like back then. And because it's a fictionalized story about his life, I don't know how much is true and how much is completely fictionalized. Oh, there's my bookmark. Haha. I am certain that the 16-hour filming days are accurate because that's how Hollywood rolls. I don't know how often he actually got fan mail or fan mail threatening to kill him from stalkers, which is a lot of what this book is about. He gets a stalker, he has to basically figure out how to deal with it. It's told in a film noir style, and it's really funny to read a fan fiction about Brent Spiner written by Brent Spiner. It's not the kind of book I normally review for this channel, but I really enjoyed it, and if you're a Star Trek fan, you probably will too. It was pretty short, pretty quick read, lots of fun. I think my review comes out around a week after this video will. And then after I finished this, I went on to the next book that was part of my backlog. It's the one I'm currently reading and the one that I'm probably going to keep reading until the end of the year, and that is Watership Down. This came highly recommended by my brother, who's the one who gave me this edition. I really like that it's an old edition that has spots on it. I'm sure it's supposed to be this faded color, but it also just kind of has an aged look. Like, multiple people have read this before me. I don't know much about it. I have heard it's like the Game of Thrones of the rabbit world. The main characters are rabbits, by the way, if you didn't know, which I didn't know at first. I've heard people talk about Watership Down. I assumed it was about people. It's not. At this point, I'm only a few chapters in, and there's things I love about it already. The main characters are the misfits. One of the rabbits who suffers from anxiety and panic attacks has had this dream where something bad is going to happen, and he thinks they all need to leave. Also, an interesting choice by the narrator is that we get to know things that the rabbits don't get to know. So the rabbits can't read, but there is a sign up at the edge of the field where the rabbits live, and the rabbits don't know what it is or that it says anything, but we get to know what it says on the sign. And so we know that the rabbit having the dream of impending doom is probably pretty accurate. And so that rabbit and his friend are trying to convince their friends to leave with them. And pretty much the only other rabbits they've been able to gather are the misfits. The ones who don't feel like they belong, the ones who get bullied, the weaker ones, the less popular ones. And at the point that I stopped reading today, they have left. The other rabbits know they're leaving, and they tried to arrest a couple of these and they fight them off. It's really interesting. So I have read a lot of the Brian Jacques Redwall books, which I'm sure were partially inspired by this. But in the Redwall books, the animals who fight like human soldiers. They have weapons, swords, daggers, bows and arrows, that kind of thing, cutlasses. These are rabbits. They behave like rabbits. Their weapons are tooth and claw. And oh boy, they go at it. They fight off the rabbits that are trying to arrest them, and then they get out of there. And one of the things I really loved was how the band of misfits all came together and how they support each other. And the friend of the anxiety-ridden rabbit is so supportive and always believes him. And he's thinking to himself, when we get out of here and we start our new life in a new home, I'm never going to let anyone else smack him around. That's not the life we're gonna have like we had here. So I love how he cares for his friend and defends his friend. So I think there's probably going to be a lot more stuff like that in here. Just some of that deep character, emotional stuff. And I'm looking forward to it. It'll probably take me clear until the end of the year. So moving on to the TBR portion, starting 2024, new year of reading, probably a lot less Sanderson. I read a lot of Sanderson and a lot of Christopher Paolini in 2023. But for January, I know that I'm going to read Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. At the end of Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, Emily and her friend, oh dear, not Wendell, Bamblebee, her friend and colleague, possible love interest, Bamblebee, they had completed what they were studying in the one place, Ravenspeak, and they're headed back home. And I don't know much about this next one coming out in January. I think maybe they're looking for portals from the mortal world to the fairy world, maybe? I don't know. I don't feel like I need to know a lot going in because I know I want to read it. I know I want to see Emily's journey and her relationship with Bamblebee, and I look forward to a nice cozy read in January. I hope it snows. I don't think it's gonna snow this winter, but it feels like it's gonna be the perfect book to curl up on the couch with in bad weather. Then I am going to choose another one of these from my backlog to read in January. Don't know what. I'm gonna wait till I get there. I'm gonna wait till I finish Watership Down, and then I'm gonna see what I'm in the mood for. Hopefully nothing too terribly long. I think Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands comes out on the 17th, so I'll have time for one, maybe two books before that. And then I'll either read another from my backlog, or I'll read one of the books that I got requested to review here. I have had two authors reach out to me, both to review dragon books. I like that they saw my channel and saw that there were lots of dragon books and were like, hey, you might like to review this dragon book. So one of those will probably be one of the ones that I read in January. One of them is a series called Songs of Chaos by Michael R. Miller. I plan on reading the first one called Ascendant. I might also do an author interview with him. That will be my first author interview. I'm super excited for it. I think it'll be later in the summer. The Faded Dragon by Cameron Michaels. So one of those will probably be the next book that I read in January, with reviews to follow. I hope you all had a wonderful year of reading, and I hope to see you back for more videos next year. Happy reading! This is coffee with a little vanilla creamer and crushed up candy cane that my son gave me this morning. Minty and Christmassy and delicious.